You were not designed to stay on the ground after you fall. You were built to rise. But most people waste their setbacks, either by drowning in self-pity or pretending they never happened. This audiobook is your wake-up call. Every fall is a lesson, and every lesson is a step toward the stronger, more disciplined version of you. Today you will learn how to turn every setback into a strategic advantage. Not by avoiding failure, but by mastering it, using it, and rising above it with unshakable resilience. If you're ready to stop repeating the same mistakes and start rising with purpose, then keep listening. Your transformation begins now. Chapter 1. Stop wasting your pain. Pain is unavoidable, but wasting pain is a choice. Most people don't realize that. They feel pain and immediately try to numb it, escape it, deny it, or complain about it. They treat pain like a punishment, instead of what it truly is: information, feedback, a teacher, the doorway to growth. Listen carefully. Pain is feedback. Pain is a teacher. Pain is not the end, it's the beginning. You have to hear that more than once because this is the foundation for everything that comes next. If you reject pain, you reject growth. If you waste pain, you stay stuck. That's the key. You have a choice. You can waste your pain, or you can use your pain. The people who stay average, stuck, and stagnant waste their pain. They complain about it. They blame others for it. They replay it in their minds until it becomes their identity. They become prisoners of the story of what hurt them. But the people who rise, the ones who transform, they do something radically different. They study their pain. They learn from it. They treat pain as tuition for the life they want to build. Because growth has a cost. And that cost is discomfort. That cost is pain. Not the kind that destroys you, but the kind that rebuilds you. Let's be honest, no one escapes pain. You're not special because you've been hurt. Pain is universal. What makes you stand out is what you do with it. Some people go through a breakup and never love again. Others go through a breakup and use the pain to develop self-worth, standards, boundaries, and clarity, and build a better relationship with themselves before ever letting someone else in again. Some people lose a job and spiral into fear, self-doubt, and hopelessness. Others take that same job loss and say, "This is my moment. This is where I reinvent myself. This is where I build a career with purpose." Same pain, different outcome. What? One person wasted their pain. The other used it. Pain itself is not the defining factor. Your response to pain is. You have a choice. And the choice you make when you're hurting shapes the rest of your life. The truth most people avoid. Most people do not rise because they don't allow pain to teach them. They run from it. They numb it. They distract themselves from it. They pretend everything is fine just to avoid feeling the discomfort that comes with growth. But here is the truth you can't outrun. If you avoid pain, you avoid the lesson. If you avoid the lesson, you repeat the experience. That is why you keep facing the same problems in different forms. Different partner, same heartbreak. Different job, same frustration. Different years, same self-doubt, same goals, same excuses. Life keeps sending the same lesson back, because you didn't learn it the first time. Pain repeats itself when it's wasted. Pain stops repeating when it's used. That's the key. Pain is a resource. Start treating pain like a resource. Something valuable. Something you can extract wisdom from. Something you can convert into clarity, strength, standards, resilience, discipline, and identity. Say this with me and don't just hear it, absorb it. Pain is feedback. Pain is a teacher. Pain is not the end, it's the beginning. Pain tells you where you need to grow. Pain reveals what matters to you. Pain shows you what needs to change. Pain is the alarm system for your life. It wakes you up. Your job is not to turn the alarm off. Your job is to pay attention to what it's trying to tell you. If your body feels pain at the gym, it means your muscles are being challenged enough to grow. If your heart feels pain in a relationship, it means something needs to be addressed, healed, or corrected. If your mind feels pain when facing failure, it's showing you your weak spots, the gaps in your mindset or habits that need strengthening. Pain is not there to ruin you. Pain is there to rebuild you. Real people, real pain, real rising. Let's look at real examples, because transformation is not some abstract concept. Someone gets cheated on. They could waste that pain by assuming they're unlovable, building walls, or seeking validation through toxic behavior. Or they can sit with the pain long enough to learn, I ignored red flags. I abandoned my standards. I accepted less than I deserved. I won't do that again. That person rises. Someone starts a business, fails, and loses money. They could waste that pain by quitting and telling everyone that it just wasn't meant to be. Or they could study the failure, identify mistakes, refine their strategy, learn the skill they lacked, and try again with more wisdom. That person rises. Someone gets rejected from a job, a partner, an opportunity. They could waste the pain by shrinking, lowering their ambition, telling themselves they're not good enough. Or they could use the pain to sharpen their approach, strengthen their confidence, and come back more prepared. That person rises. The pain didn't ruin them. The pain refined them. The shift starts now. From this moment forward, repeat this truth until it becomes part of your identity. I don't waste pain. I use pain. When something hurts, don't numb it. Feel it. Study it. Learn from it. Let the pain change you. Let it upgrade you. You don't need anyone's permission to grow from what hurt you. You don't need validation to learn from it. You don't need approval to turn your pain into power. Growth is your responsibility. And responsibility begins with ownership. You have a choice. Keep wasting your pain, or make today the day you start transforming with it. You just learned the first rule of rising. Pain is fuel, not punishment. When you stop wasting pain, you unlock the doorway to growth. But awareness is only the beginning. The next step is ownership. And that is where most people fail. Because to rise, you must first accept responsibility for the fall. Chapter 2. Own the fall without excuses. There is a moment in every downfall where you face a choice, blame or rise. And the path you choose in that moment determines everything. Most people never rise because they never own their fall. They run from responsibility and then wonder why their life never changes. They create excuses, justifications, and stories to protect their ego, but that same ego protection keeps them stuck. Listen closely. Accountability is the turning point between repeating failure and rising from it. Excuses block growth. If you want to rise, the first rule is non-negotiable. Own the fall. Fully. Completely. Without excuses. Say this with me. If I caused it, I can change it. If I avoid it, I repeat it. That mantra will become your shield and your sword. Your shield against victimhood. Your sword against stagnation. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Because here is the truth most people don't want to hear. Your life doesn't change when you win. Your life changes when you take responsibility for why you lost. The cost of excuses. Excuses feel good in the moment. They protect your pride. They let you avoid discomfort. They allow you to escape the pain of admitting, I should have done better. But excuses are expensive. They cost you growth. They cost you progress. They cost you your future. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall between you and your potential. People say things like, I'm not where I want to be because of my parents. I lost that job because my boss was unfair. My relationship failed because they didn't appreciate me. I'm out of shape because I'm too busy. No, that's the story you tell yourself because the truth is uncomfortable. The truth is simple. You played a part in the fall. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. And the part you played is the only part you can change. You have a choice, protect your ego or build your life. You can't do both. Self-honesty is a superpower. If you want to rise, you need a level of self-honesty that most people will never practice. You must be willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did this. I allowed this. I ignored the warning signs. I chose the comfort. I avoided the work. Self-honesty hurts at first, but that pain is cleansing. It purifies your identity. It creates clarity, and clarity is power. This chapter is not about blame. Blame keeps you stuck in shame. This chapter is about ownership. Ownership gives you control. There is a massive difference between saying, they hurt me, and saying, I allowed them to stay in my life longer than I should have. There is a difference between saying, the company fired me, and saying, I stopped exceeding expectations. I got comfortable. I didn't build new skills. There is a difference between saying, "The scale won't move," and saying, "I broke my promises to myself. I chose convenience over discipline." Self-honesty turns pain into power. Victim mentality turns pain into paralysis. If I caused it, I can change it. If I avoid it, I repeat it. That's the key. Real-world examples of ownership. Let's look at how accountability transforms lives in different areas. Career example. Someone gets passed over for a promotion. The average person complains, blames office politics, and quits mentally while still showing up physically. They waste the lesson. The person who rises does something different. They ask themselves, where did I fall short? What skill do I need to level up? What did this failure expose? Maybe they realize they haven't improved their communication, leadership, or consistency. They own it. They fix it. And next time, they don't just get a promotion, they become undeniable. Ownership creates elevation. Fitness example. A person says, "I've tried everything and nothing works." But when they're honest, they admit, they didn't stay consistent. They didn't track their habits. They quit when it got uncomfortable. The moment they say, "I failed because I didn't stay disciplined," something shifts, because discipline is within their control. And when you take responsibility for what is in your control, your rise becomes inevitable. Relationship example. Someone goes through a breakup and says, "They did me wrong." Maybe that's true. But rising requires a deeper question. Why did I tolerate behavior that wasn't good for me? Why didn't I communicate my needs? Why did I ignore the red flags? Self-honesty turns heartbreak into wisdom. Wisdom becomes standards. Standards protect your future. Accountability turns pain into maturity. Ownership creates transformation. The power of internal control. Excuses make you powerless because the story becomes, "My life depends on what others do to me." Ownership makes you powerful because the story becomes, "My life depends on what I choose to do next." One mindset traps you. The other frees you. Victims wait. Leaders act. Victims complain. Leaders change. Victims look at the past. Leaders build the future. The moment you take full ownership of your choices, habits, boundaries, priorities, and standards, you become dangerous to your old identity. You become unstoppable. Because if you caused it, you can correct it. If you allowed it, you can stop it. If you repeated it, you can replace it. Say it again. If I caused it, I can change it. If I avoid it, I repeat it. Accountability, the gateway to rising. Accountability is not self-blame. Accountability is self-liberation. It frees you from the illusion that someone else controls your outcome. When you hold yourself accountable, you stop waiting for apologies. You stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for life to change on its own. You take the pen back. You rewrite the narrative. You rise. Owning the fall does not make you weak. It makes you unbreakable. The shift you must make, from this moment forward, is stop defending your mistakes. To stop explaining your failures. To stop hiding behind excuses. Own the fall. Study it. Grow from it. You don't need anyone's permission to take responsibility for your life. You don't need anyone to validate your growth. You don't need anyone to agree with your transformation. The day you take full responsibility for your life is the day your rise begins. You have taken the first step toward true resilience. You stopped wasting your pain, and now you understand that excuses kill growth while ownership creates transformation. But ownership alone is not enough. Once you accept responsibility, you must learn to separate emotion from the lesson, because clarity requires objectivity. Chapter 3. Detach emotion, extract the lesson. You've taken responsibility for the fall. Now comes the part most people never master, staying objective long enough to learn the lesson. Because the truth is this, your emotions are powerful, but if you let them lead your decisions after a setback, they will mislead you. Emotions are real, but they are not always accurate. And if you want to rise, you must separate what you feel from what is true. After failure, emotions distort your perspective. They cloud your judgment. They make small issues look massive and temporary setbacks look permanent. Emotion exaggerates. Emotion dramatizes. Emotion blurs the lesson. That's why most people don't learn anything from what hurts them. They're too busy feeling the fall to study the fall. Listen carefully. Clarity comes from stepping back and observing the situation with objectivity. Not with ego. Not with anger. Not with shame. You must learn the skill of emotional detachment, not emotional suppression. Detachment. Detachment is the ability to say, I feel this, but I am not ruled by this. Repeat this to yourself. My feelings are valid, but the lesson is found in the facts. That's the key. The process: pause, analyze, extract, apply. To rise, you need a repeatable process you can use after every setback. A system that removes panic and replaces it with clarity. Here is the method. Memorize it. Use it. Teach it. Pause, analyze, extract, apply. This process turns pain into intelligence. It turns failure into data. It turns setbacks into strategy. Let's break it down. Step 1. Pause. The first step is to pause. Do nothing. Don't react. Don't respond. Don't make a decision from an emotional state. When you react emotionally, you repeat cycles. When you pause, you break them. The pause is your emotional reset. It gives your mind time to settle so your intelligence can speak. During the pause, your job is simple: breathe, feel, and observe. Tell yourself, I am allowed to feel this, but I don't need to act on this feeling. This pause can be 5 minutes, 5 hours, or 5 days, depending on the intensity of the situation. The more emotional the fall, the longer the pause may need to be. The pause protects you from emotional self-sabotage. The pause creates space for growth. Step 2. Analyze. Once the emotion has cooled, you move to the analyze phase. This is where you look at the situation like a scientist, not a victim. You examine what happened without judgment. You ask questions like, what exactly went wrong? What choices led to this outcome? What did I ignore? What signs did I miss? What pattern is repeating? This step requires honesty without self-attack. The purpose is not to shame yourself. The purpose is to understand yourself. This is where you separate feelings from facts. Facts tell you what happened. Feelings tell you how you experienced what happened. You need both, but only one teaches the lesson. Remember, your feelings matter, but the facts hold the lesson. That's the key. Step 3. Extract. Now that you see the situation clearly, it's time to extract the lesson. This is where you ask the most important question of all. What is this setback trying to teach me? Every failure contains education. Every fall has a message. Your job is to extract the core lesson and write it down. Yes, write it down. Lessons that stay in your head fade. Lessons that are written stick. Ask yourself, what must change next time? What belief must I update? What habit must I adjust? What boundary must I enforce? What standard must I raise? A lesson becomes powerful when it becomes specific. Do better next time is not a lesson. I need to plan my week on Sunday and track my habits daily is a lesson. I should communicate more is not a lesson. I will express my needs clearly and early instead of expecting others to guess them is a lesson. Vague lessons lead to repeated failures. Clear lessons lead to transformation. Step 4. Apply. The final step is the one most people never do. Apply. A lesson only matters if it changes behavior. Application turns wisdom into results. Application turns clarity into growth. Application turns the fall into the rise. This is where discipline enters. You make intentional changes based on the lesson you extracted. You implement a new habit, boundary, or system. You show up differently. You behave differently. You choose differently. Repeat this mantra. A lesson ignored becomes a lesson repeated. If you don't apply it, life will teach it again. And again. And again, louder each time, until you learn. Pause, analyze, extract, apply. This process is your roadmap from setback to evolution. When you detach, you see the truth. Let's apply this to real situations. The failed habit. Scenario. You promised yourself you'd wake up early and exercise but quit after 1 week. Emotional response. I'm lazy. I have no discipline. I'll never change. Objective analysis. You didn't sleep early, you didn't plan your morning, and you relied on motivation instead of a system. Lesson to extract. I must set a bedtime, prepare my workout the night before, and start with 10-minute sessions to build the habit. Application. Change your night routine, prepare gear in advance, and track your sleep. Emotion says you failed. Clarity says you didn't prepare. The lesson is in the facts. The failed project. Scenario. A business idea didn't work. Emotional response. I'm not cut out for this. Objective analysis. You didn't study your audience, your offer was unclear, and you lacked consistency. Lesson to extract. Validate demand first. Clarify the value. Create a weekly execution system. Application. Test ideas before launching, refine messaging, schedule weekly non-negotiable execution time. Emotion says quit. Clarity says improve your process. The lesson is in the facts. The failed relationship. Scenario. A relationship ended painfully. Emotional response. I'm unlovable. People always leave. Objective analysis. Boundaries were ignored, communication was avoided, red flags were dismissed, compatibility was forced. Lesson to extract. Next time I will communicate needs early, uphold boundaries, and stop trying to fix people at the cost of myself. Application. Practice self-respect, enforce standards, choose with clarity, not loneliness. Emotion says you weren't enough. Clarity says you stayed where you shouldn't have. The lesson is in the facts. Detachment is a skill. Detachment is not emotional numbness. Detachment is emotional intelligence. It's the ability to feel fully but think clearly. It is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with repetition. Every time you apply the process, pause, analyze, extract, apply, you train your mind to rise instead of react. Over time, setbacks will no longer break you. They will teach you. They will shape you. They will elevate you. This is how you transform pain into wisdom. This is how you turn failure into strategy. This is how you rise with clarity instead of crumbling under emotion. Feel the emotion. Learn from the facts. Use the lesson. That's the formula. You've learned how to detach from the emotional chaos of a setback and find the lesson hidden within it. But now it's time to take an even more powerful step. Because knowing the lesson isn't enough, you must rewrite the story you tell yourself about failure, identity, and who you are becoming. Chapter 4. Rewrite your failure story. Your biggest enemy is not your past. It's the story you keep telling yourself about your past. Most people are not trapped by what happened to them, they're trapped by the meaning they attach to what happened. They are imprisoned by outdated narratives, old identities, and false labels created during their lowest moments. Hear this clearly, you are not failing because of the past, you are failing because of the story you built around it. It's time to break that story. Most people carry the weight of who they used to be. They drag their past like a chain. They keep using old mistakes as proof of current limitations. They let one failure define them. They allow one chapter to become their entire book. But listen carefully, your past is a chapter, not a definition. Say it again. Your past is a chapter, not a definition. That's the directive. That's the turning point. That is the beginning of liberation. The stories you tell become the beliefs you live. You're always telling yourself a story. About who you are. About what you're capable of. About what you deserve. And whether you realize it or not, that story becomes your identity. If your story is, I always mess things up, then you will continue to sabotage. If your story is, relationships never work for me, you will find ways to prove yourself right. If your story is, I'm not disciplined, you will live like someone who lacks discipline. Not because it's true, but because you believe it. Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your identity. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they haven't updated who they think they are. You have a choice. Hold on to an identity built during your weakest season, or rewrite the story and choose a new identity aligned with your growth. Where your identity got stuck. Every negative self-label had a starting point. A moment where a failure, a rejection, a comment, or a painful experience formed a belief. Someone told you, you're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You'll never change. You always ruin things. Maybe it wasn't someone else. Maybe you said it to yourself. And you repeated it so many times that it became your inner script. That script became your identity. That identity became your behavior. And your behavior became your life. But here is the truth you must accept. That identity was built when you lacked knowledge, tools, maturity, discipline, or support. You are not that person anymore, unless you choose to be. You have evolved. You have grown. You've learned lessons. You've developed new awareness. Yet you keep judging yourself as if you're still that old version. Why? Because you never took the time to rewrite the story. The power of reauthoring your life. Rewriting your failure story is not delusion. It's correction. It's updating your self-image to match your growth instead of your past. You rewrite your story by changing the meaning of the events that shaped you. Instead of, I failed, so I'm not capable. Shift to, I failed, so I learned what capability requires. Instead of, I was rejected, which means I'm not enough. Shift to, I was rejected, which means I was not aligned, and alignment matters more than approval. Instead of, I've made too many mistakes to change. Shift to, my mistakes qualified me to change. You don't rise by erasing your past. You rise by reframing your past. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Your past is a teacher, not a prison. Your past is a chapter, not a definition. That's the key. Every time you say something about yourself, you reinforce a label. Labels become identity. And identity drives action. If you say, I'm inconsistent, you'll keep acting inconsistently because you've accepted that as who you are. Replace that with identity-based truth. I am becoming consistent. I am building discipline. I show up for myself. If you say, I attract the wrong people, you'll keep accepting less. Replace it with, I choose relationships that respect my worth. I only allow what aligns with my standards. If you say, I'm bad with money, you will avoid financial responsibility. Replace it with, I am learning money skills. I am becoming financially disciplined. Here's why this works. Your identity must shift before your behavior does. When you update the script, you update the system. Affirmations that rewrite your story. This chapter requires not just understanding, but reprogramming. Affirmations are not magic words. They are identity rewrites. They tell your brain who you are now, not who you were then. Say these out loud or write them down daily. My past shaped me, but it does not define me. I honor my old story, but I am writing a new one. I am allowed to outgrow the version of me that didn't know better. I choose identity over history. I am not who I was, I am who I decide to become. Repeat them. Let them sink in. Identity changes through repetition. The old story repeated itself enough times to convince you. Now you must repeat the new one until it becomes truth. Real-life examples of story revision: career identity shift. Old story, I always fail at business. New story, my early attempts taught me what success requires. I now create with experience, not guesswork. Fitness identity shift. Old story, I can't stick to healthy habits. New story, consistency is a skill I'm training daily. Every rep strengthens my identity. Relationship identity shift. Old story, I attract toxic people because I'm not enough. New story, I used to accept less because I didn't know my worth. Now I choose alignment, not attachment. Each shift rewrites the emotional meaning behind the memory. When the meaning changes, the identity changes. When the identity changes, the future changes. The identity test. Ask yourself right now, are you living as the person you used to be, or the person you're becoming? Are you making decisions based on your past limitations, or your future standards? Are you acting as the wounded version of you, or the wiser version of you? You have a choice. Hold on to the story that kept you small, or step into the story that will make you rise. This chapter is your permission slip to evolve, to upgrade, to rewrite the script. You don't need permission from your past. You don't need validation from others. You don't need anyone to believe in your new story before you do. Your transformation begins when you say these words with conviction. My past is a chapter, not a definition. I am rewriting my story starting now. You've reclaimed the narrative. You've freed yourself from the outdated identity built during your lowest moments. Now that your story is rewritten, it's time to build something stronger. A life structure that supports your rise even when setbacks hit again. Chapter 5. Build systems that survive setbacks. If your success depends on motivation, you will lose. If your growth relies on feeling inspired, you will quit. Motivation is a spark. Systems are the engine. Goals fail because setbacks destroy motivation. But systems survive setbacks. Systems keep you moving even when you're tired, unmotivated, discouraged, or emotionally low. Most people set goals full of hype, emotion, and excitement. But excitement fades. Emotion changes. Life hits. Pain hits. Distraction hits. And the goal dies with it. Let this truth land. You don't rise because you set goals. You rise because you build systems. A system is a structure that works regardless of how you feel. When you have a system, progress continues even on your worst days. A system removes the need for motivation. A system removes the emotional debate. A system turns effort into automation. You need systems that survive the fall. Systems that carry you through setbacks. Systems that keep you moving forward even when your mind tries to pull you backwards. Your future depends on one skill: consistent action without emotional permission. That's the key. Why goals fail and systems win. Goals rely on willpower. Systems rely on structure. A goal says, I want to lose 20 pounds. A system says, I train at 7 a.m. daily and prep meals every Sunday. A goal says, I want to write a book. A system says, I write 500 words every day at 9 p.m., no negotiation. A goal says, I want to save more money. A system says, I automate 10% of every paycheck into savings before I see it. You can fall, you can feel low, you can feel unmotivated, and the system still works. When you rely on motivation, a setback kills momentum. When you rely on systems, a setback is just a temporary dip, not the end. Most people restart over and over because they never built a system to carry them through the crash. You have a choice. Are you building a moment or a mechanism? Are you chasing a feeling or constructing a structure? Build the structure. Build the system. The purpose of a system. A system removes 3 things that destroy progress. Decision fatigue. When to do it, how to do it, if you should do it. The system decides for you. Emotional negotiation. Do I feel like it today? Doesn't matter. System wins. Willpower dependency. You don't need strength. You need structure. Listen closely. Systems protect your progress from your emotions. Your emotions will betray you. Your system won't. On your best days, a system multiplies your results. On your worst days, a system protects your results. That's why systems create long-term growth, because they make success non-negotiable. The anti-setback system method. Here is a simple structure to create systems that survive setbacks. Step 1. Make it small enough to still work on your worst day. If your system only works when you're energized, it's not a system, it's a fantasy. Build a version that you can do when tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. Even 5 minutes counts if it keeps the habit alive. Step 2. Set a trigger, time, or environment. Systems must be anchored. Same time, same place, or same trigger. After coffee, I journal. At 7 p.m. I train. The moment I get paid, I transfer money. Anchor it to reality. Step 3. Track the system, not the result. Track repetitions, not outcomes. The system is the win. The streak matters more than the scale or the score. Your identity is built through the doing. Repeat this daily. My system is my success. My system is my safety net. My system keeps me rising. Examples of systems that survive emotional lows. Let's make this real. The gym system. Old approach. I will work out 6 days a week when I feel motivated. Crash and quit. System approach. I will show up at the gym for 20 minutes even on bad days. Worst day version. A 5-minute home mobility session. Motivation might fail Tuesday, but the system keeps the identity alive. The lesson. Even a weak workout keeps the habit strong. The writing system. Old approach. I will write when inspiration strikes, which means you'll write rarely if ever. System approach. 500 words daily at 8 p.m. at the same desk. Worst day version. 100 words to keep the habit alive. A setback doesn't stop the book, because the system keeps the pen moving. The money system. Old approach, I will start saving when I earn more. Later, is a system for staying broke. System approach, 10% of income auto-transferred to savings before I ever see it. Worst day version, 1% but never 0. Even during financial setbacks, the system still builds discipline. Your system must function during your storm, not only during sunshine. The no 0 days rule. There is one rule that makes systems nearly indestructible. No 0 days. A no 0 day means, no matter how bad it gets, you still do something. Even the smallest action counts. 1 page counts. 5 push-ups count. $1 saved counts. 1 minute of meditation counts. Why? Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is identity. Identity grows through repetition. Repetition requires consistency. Consistency requires never 0. Say it out loud. No 0 days. Something is always better than nothing. This rule keeps the system alive during setbacks. And if the system stays alive, the habit survives. If the habit survives, the identity grows. And if the identity grows, the life transforms. The mindset behind systems. Systems are not restrictive. They are freeing. Systems do not limit you, they empower you. Systems are self-respect in structure form. A system says, my future matters enough to protect it with routine. A setback won't destroy me because I prepared for it. I don't wait to feel ready, I show up because it's who I am. This is how disciplined people think. This is how resilient people rise. This is how you build a life that can withstand storms. The real secret of systems. Here's the truth most people ignore. Systems force your future to stay alive even when the present hurts. When you fall, the system keeps you from falling all the way back to 0. When you rise again, you rise from a higher level than before. Every cycle elevates you. Every setback becomes smaller. Every comeback becomes faster. That is how you build long-term growth. Systems are your safety net on the way up. Systems are your foundation when you crash. Systems are your bridge back to momentum. If you truly want a life that grows, evolves, and compounds, build systems. Protect systems. Live through systems. Motivation is unreliable. Feelings are inconsistent. Life is unpredictable. But systems? Systems are stable. They are the structure that guarantees your rise, not once but repeatedly. Say this and mean it. My systems will carry me through my setbacks. My systems make my success inevitable. You mastered the rewrite of your identity. Now you have the structure to protect your rise. In the next chapter, we go even deeper into building resilience that compounds over your lifetime. But before you move forward, if this chapter lit something in you, if you can feel the shift happening inside your mindset, if you know this audiobook is reshaping the way you rise, take 2 seconds right now. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter of your transformation. You are building the identity, the system, and the discipline to rise. Now let's continue your climb.